This morning, we're taking a closer look at the art of Pierre Soulages. The source of his appeal is right there on his canvases in black and white, as Elizabeth Palmer will show us.
A century old, Pierre Soulages, known as the Master of Black, may move slowly, but his outlook is bright. I have to congratulate you on reaching your 100th birthday. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm actually in my 101st year, so very happy. But to tell you the truth, it's not much different than being 90.
Soulages lives in the small French town of Sète on the Mediterranean, in a modernist house he built in the 1960s with Colette, his wife of 78 years. His studio is filled with his tools, many of them homemade, and stacks of unfinished works turned to the walls so they don't distract him.
I prefer not to see them, otherwise they call to me.
There's no question Soulages' paintings command attention. They've hung in the world's most famous art collections, big, bold, and overwhelmingly black. In the 1950s, Soulages made a name for himself in New York, which was emerging as the center of the modern art world.
I so enjoyed New York. To quote a French writer, New York is a city that stands tall.
Back then, like the American artists Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko, Soulages was part of the avant-garde, experimenting with challenging abstract forms.
They reveal things that live within us, but that we may not have recognized.
As a young artist, Soulages did use some color. And then one morning in 1979, when he and Colette were living in Paris, he noticed how reflections transformed the surface of black paint. He'd found his medium and began to experiment with scoring and even sculpting it on the canvas. Why does black still move you?
Because its possibilities are limitless. I say black, but actually it's light. That's key. When I add black paint to a canvas, light reflects uniquely off this color. That's what my work is all about. I paint with light.
He calls it beyond black, the way the light turns the black to brown or gray or even shining white.
Each time it's a new experiment,
Just before the coronavirus pandemic, Soulages became only the third artist after Picasso and Chagall to have a solo exhibition at the Louvre during his lifetime.
He came.
Alfred Pacman was one of the curators.
The way the paint is on the canvas makes the light very different whether you are on one side, on the other side, whether the light is direct or indirect.
In the town of Rodez, near where he was born, there's a museum dedicated to Pierre Soulages. It's filled with masterpieces, says the director Benoit Decron, because Soulages is a perfectionist.
You can see in his garden the place where he's burning his paintings.
He burns the paintings he doesn't like.
Yeah. It's impossible to find bad pieces of Soulages.
He may be 100 years old, but the master of black is determined to keep painting.
In his mind, it's important to prove to the world he's able now, today, to make some paintings.
To keep working.
Yeah, he keeps working.
He relies on his assistant, Ismail, and a stone he puts at the studio door to warn visitors away, so he can concentrate in the time that's left on the power and possibilities of black.